Hey everybody, we are broadcasting from Provo. It is the Back2School Pride event. We are here in Provo at the BYU Back2School Pride event, and I'm telling you, things have gotten a little crazy. We told you that this might be a little wild with some protesters and a lot of the crazy things that were happening surrounding this Back2School event on social media. For those of you that have been following the Latter-day Stories podcast, we've been discussing a lot about our Wings, Angel Wings project, and we are initiating that in just a couple minutes. We wanted to bring you live in so you can watch this. Just to give you some background, we are broadcasting here in Provo at the Back2School Pride event. Now, this was an event put together. This is the second year that they've done this. Because of COVID, there was a little bit of a break, but the second year that the Rainbow Collective and others have put this event together. And the idea behind it was to invite new and incoming BYU freshmen who were coming to Provo for the first time, who identify as LGBTQ, to kind of get a feel as to where their friends were, some resources and available opportunities to them as new BYU students who identified on the LGBTQ spectrum. We also found out early on, thank you to the Provo City Police Department, who have been extremely generous and kind to work with, that there were going to be a number of protesters that showed up at this event, and the protesters did arrive. We got some information ahead of time, knowing that might happen. Thank you again to the Provo City Police Department. And so we initiated what we call the Operation Angel Wings. Now, if you're familiar with that, this was somewhat of an initiative that took place in the Matthew Shepard trial in the late 90s, where protesters, namely protesters from the Westboro Baptist Church, showed up at the trial of the accused murderers of Matthew Shepard. And these protesters were protesting the fact that Matthew Shepard was gay. And they were very, very involved in trying to pressure and injure the Shepard family, and to let them know that Matthew Shepard's death was caused by the fact that he was homosexual. Well, in order to prevent those protesters from infiltrating the family, a group of people donned angel wings, and through these angel wings, they were able to stand in between the family and the protesters. We have harnessed that same idea, and thanks to many of our Latter-day Stories listeners and followers, you financially stood up to the plate. You came with your resources, you showed up with money, you showed up with your time and talents, and we were able to put together an army of angels. And those angels are going to be dispatched here in just a minute. I'm going to take you over to the area where the protesters are at. You will likely read some signs that aren't overly favorable. However, I'm just going to give you an idea of really this is what your LGBTQ relatives, friends, and family members are experiencing on a daily basis. These are the types of arrows. These are the types of darts. These are the muskets that your friends and family members have to endure on a daily basis. And we're finding them right here in Provo. I know this is wildly impromptu. Camera's going to be a little bit shaky, but I really want you to kind of get an idea as to what's happening. So right now the band is playing. Suit Up Soldier is on stage, and they're playing their encore. What the protesters don't know is, and I'm going to show you this, in the building right behind me are a team of angels. Now these are people who have donned these costumes with 6-7 foot wingspans, who are now going to line up in front of the protesters to block the protesters' view completely. So right now, because the protesters are here and the concert's going on, a lot of the people who are attending this event have walked hand in hand. And thanks to our friends at Project Rainbow, they provided at least 100, maybe 200 rainbow and transcolor flags. They are waving these flags in front of the protesters as these LGBTQ allies, supporters, and queer people are locked hand in hand as they prevent the protesters from moving any further forward. All right, our angels are coming out. I'm going to switch this. Oh, I don't think I can switch it on the other side. Maybe I can. Hold on just a second. I'm going to switch this on the other side so you can get a little bit better view, if I can figure this out. Okay, I'm just going to switch the camera around. I'm going to take you over, let you see the angel wings that are showing up and just arriving here.
Progress march on with the veil over our eyes. We turn back on the cars. So the day that my uncles can be mad about love. The kids are walking around the hallway, plagued by pain in their heart. A world to hate or someone rather die to be who they are. And the certificate on paper isn't gonna solve it all, but it's a damn good place to start. God's gonna change us. We have to change us. Whatever God you believe in, we come from the same one. Strip away the fear. Underneath it's all the same love. About time to be raised up.
We're giving you a look here. We're at the Back to School Pride event in Provo. The Angels have just walked out. They are protecting or creating a barrier between the protesters, who actually are too deep back. Behind the Angels are LGBTQ supporters, queer people themselves, allies, family members who have created a secondary barrier between the protesters and the Angels. This is pretty incredible. Lots of tears in the crowd. Kind of an awesome sight to see.
Even if I tried, even if I wanted to, even if I tried, even if I wanted to, she keeps me warm, she keeps me warm, she keeps me warm.
That's what's happening here in Provo. It's super exciting. Just incredible, actually. Just a beautiful show of support for the LGBTQ community here. When we put out the call asking for a little help, you all showed up, and not in just a small way. Thousands of dollars worth of donations came in. The willingness to stay late and sew these costumes and put the wings together. These are all things that you guys did. And the people here in this crowd notice and see how important some small random act of kindness was to them. Super incredible. I want to jump back here as well and give you a shot of what's happening behind the Angels. Really cool. This is super exciting. All right, we're going to walk behind here. This is a secondary row of people who are protesting or shielding. Hi, guys. Thank you. Yay for the Black Menaces!
We're here supporting.
Crazy, right?
This is so crazy. It's
Some
literally
things never
insane.
change, right?
They're bringing out all types of crazy ideals.
Yep, some things never change. There's always going to be people who hate. and there's always going to be people who stand up to him.
This isn't just a marginal. This isn't just a sexual issue. It isn't a racial issue. This is a human issue.
It's a human issue, exactly. This
And
is
I'm
just
like,
about people.
I'm learning from the examples of my ancestors and standing up for everyone who is
The thing is, they're talking about not harassing kids and stuff, and they're coming out to harass college kids. It's crazy.
who are trying to just have a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you sound? How do you look?
So we're doing our best to create a safe space, literally.
Unbelievable. Thanks. We love you.
Love you too.
You too.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Are you thought of these stories? Take away from people like you.
Yeah, obviously.
Can I ask you that really quick on camera? Do you mind saying that?
Oh, the black one?
Yeah, there's space. I'm like, I just.
All right, we made our way through the crowd. I didn't want to give you too much of a shot on the backside of it. Was immediately asked a bunch of questions from the protesters. They want to get us on record asking it. Really, what seems to be the big reason why the protesters showed up today was their issue with the actual drag show. They have an issue with drag shows being grooming opportunities for children. So that's really why it seems like that's the reason why they've shown up today. They are here to protest the fact that they feel these events, these LGBTQ queer events, are opportunities to groom children, to force them into ideologies that they don't believe in, that children are too young to decide. And that really seems to be the crux behind why people are protesting here today. I'm going to give you another shot of the Angels as well, who they are doing an incredible job of ensuring that the protesters' messages aren't being visibly seen. They also have been loud to ensure that whatever the protesters are trying to chant isn't being heard. And I'm sure the protesters are going to be even louder here in a few minutes when the drag show, the drag queens come out. But we'll pay attention to that here in a couple of minutes. All right, we're going to go over here. I want to read some of these questions that have come in. If you've got a question as well, shoot me a message right here in the chat. I want to answer your questions, but I want to get in a little bit quieter spot and able to do that. Super good crowd here today. Throughout the whole day, they were able to host a relatively peaceful event. We were told early on that the protesters would arrive likely around noon. From what we understood, there was a group that called themselves Patriots in Provo, I believe is what they named themselves. The Provo Patriots, they were supposed to arrive here around noon, and that didn't happen because of a broke down vehicle. So what you're seeing now is another group. We've been told the Proud Boys are part of this group. And then there's a BYU organization, a BYU conservative organization that are here. I don't know the names of all the individual ones, all the individual groups, and I don't frankly care. But what we do know is the supporters of this event showed up in mass, and it's quite touching, actually. So super exciting to be able to see this. Just wanted to scroll through some of these questions. Yeah, so Jennifer asked if the protesters are behind the Angels. Yes, they are. And if you didn't catch a few minutes ago as we walked through the stream or walked through this crowd, what we basically did is the protesters showed up, and thank you to Provo Police Department. And this isn't BYU Police Department. This is the Provo Police Department, who have been in every sense of the word, generous and kind and accommodating throughout the whole day. They had a very heavy police presence here. They were super helpful. I even saw them posing for some photos. they had conversations. They were just enjoying the whole experience, but more importantly, they were doing their jobs by keeping people safe and ensuring that these protesters didn't breach into the Pride booth area. And I was super excited to see that. So yeah, to answer your question, as these protesters were coming in closer to the stage area, there was an immediate line. Our angels were in the process of getting dressed. So there was an immediate line of LGBTQ people, allies, supporters that jumped in, locked arm, just arm in arm, and just started creating this line, this barrier to prevent those protesters from infiltrating any further. Now, I wish I had an officer here to kind of explain the legal side of how these protesters can be here. But it sounds like because the pavilion but not the whole park area was included, the pavilion was included in part of the permitting process for the Pride event, but not the whole park. So this area where they're staging, where they're going to have the drag show, is a public area, and that will allow these protesters to assemble. So what first happened was this line of affirming queer people and friends and family members joined arm in arm to keep the protesters from moving forward. And then the angels came out, and you were able to see that earlier in this stream. It really is super beautiful and super exciting. We invite you to share the broadcast, kind of let people see and understand what's happening here in Provo. I think the important part is to just kind of get a better idea as to what people in the queer community are experiencing. This isn't the first LGBTQ event that has been kind of hijacked or infiltrated by protesters before. This is actually quite a common occurrence. But bringing out the angel wings was something that I don't think the protesters had anticipated. And in fact, what I'm hearing is they're complaining. They're saying that even their rights are being violated because they're kind of being kept away from what they came here to do, which I'm okay with that. So here in a couple minutes, the drag show will start. I'm not going to broadcast a lot of the show, but I'm fairly confident that the protesters really are kept at bay. So I'm going to walk back up. I'm going to take you up to the stage and just kind of give you an idea as to what's happening up there. Let me know where you're watching from, and please share. Be happy to see this get a little bit more exposure. Share this broadcast, especially as we turn it off here in a few minutes. But I want to take you in closer to the stage, get you familiar with what's happening here, and then the event organizers also are going to give a rundown as to what's happening in this event.
Leave the kids alone.
I know that those who are with us are more than those who are against us. I love you all. And as always, let's be courageous and kind. Thank you.
the